Welcome back to day 4. For the next 2 days I'm going to talk about Little Sunflower and ways to improvise over it. It kind of reprises a video I did with Tony several years ago, where I talked about modal concepts and pentatonic concepts. And we're going to talk about those for the next 2 days. Going to focus a lot more on modal today with Little Sunflower, demonstrating things in the A section, and then at the conclusion of the tape tomorrow I will have played all the way through, and that in application of all of these concepts. So today is pretty much just, I'm going to show you the concepts that you can use. Little Sunflower is a modal tune, and the structure of it is a little different, okay? It's A, which is 8 bars repeated. So A, B, B, A. Okay, so it's a little different than some of the other tunes that we might play. And you know, as an organist, you can control that form. I mean, sometimes you know, in jams, people get a little mixed up there because of the repetition of the A, twice coming back after the bridge. But anyway, Dorian mode is the melodic material for the A sections, and in Dorian, if you're not familiar with it, it's very easy to find. It's the second mode of whatever the major key happens to be. So if somebody says to you, okay, this is D Dorian, okay, well, Dorian is 2 and D is 2 of C, okay. So Dorian is just the same notes as C major played from D to D. That's really all you need to know. Now, on the DVD, I went into great detail about what all the modes are and that, and they're not difficult. You just have to, think of a way for you to remember them. But anyway, so, if somebody says we're going to play an A Dorian, okay, A is to a G major. That's how that works. If somebody says we're going to play in G Dorian, G is 2 of the key of F. And that's how that works. So, that's pretty easy. So just remember that Dorian is 2. Okay? So, some of the other tunes that are kind of like Little Sunflower in the modal mood are things like So What by Miles Davis. And that actually happens to be D Dorian 2 with an E flat Dorian bridge. Another tune that is actually exact same chord structure as So What is Impressions by John Coltrane. And that one is D Dorian in the A sections and then E flat Dorian in the B sections. And another tune by Miles, there's some different versions of this, is called Milestones. And Milestones, the way that I know how to play it, is G Dorian followed by A, might be Aeolian on the bridge when I think about it. I happen to like, I like Miles' original recordings, but I also really like the recording that Charles Earland did of that towards the end of his life. So anyway, but Little Sunflower is in that kind of a character or mode, no pun intended. Now, my organ registration, I mentioned Charles Earland, okay? I'm pulling out the 4th drawbar. That's the basic Charles Earland setting. It's like the Jimmy Smith setting in all other ways. Sometimes, you might want to put, a longer sustain on the percussion on that, depending, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But, once you pull out that 4th drawbar, it's like, if you've listened to any Charles Earland, it's like, oh yeah, okay, that's that sound. Another organist that used that quite a bit was Trudy Pitts also, okay, and I don't know of any other folks that use that a lot. I do, you know, on a number of my pieces, because I just happen to like the sound. You know, it's just a little different, gives a little different flavor. So, that all being said, let's just get started here. And I'm going to take you through the A section of Little Sunflower with all these different ways the melody can be played. And it's all white notes, so it's going to be pretty easy. Now, what are we going to do with the left hand? Okay, since this is Latin, we have a couple of choices. Now, if you were an electric bass or string bass player in a group playing a Latin tune, you would have to play this all the time, this rhythm. Okay, now, as an organist, we can get away with playing half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. No problem with that. What I end up doing is, especially like when I'm learning something new, I don't, you know, sit here, you know, for like 2 weeks trying to go bum, 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 make them match up. You know, if it's too difficult to do that, I'll just play the half note back and forth, okay? And then interject where I can get that bossa in there, okay? Now on this one, I'm going to like mix it up. You're going to notice that. And so anyway, let's go ahead and start. I'm going to start with a little vamp here on a D minor 9 chord to start, just to, you know, get in the mood of the rhythm. And I'll play the A section the first time, just single notes. Okay, so here we go. Get a little groove. Here I go. Little comp under that long note. Okay, so that's single note. And, you know, I just comped a D minor 7. You could use a D minor 9. A little more tension. Those are the choices you can make on that. Now, the next one is in thirds, and this one is pretty easy. All you do is you just put a third below the A. And you don't even have to think about it, just move your hands in parallel. And that sounds like this. Okay, another way is to play triads. So build a D minor triad down from your A. Okay, now this one, you know, we'll do it. You know, I use it sometimes, but just for an example here, will sound like this. And I put a little turn in that melody. I just kind of like doing that little trill. Now the next one is triads too, but it's really based off a D minor 7 chord to start, and I just take the D out because it's down here. I don't have to have it up here, and I call this the gospel thing. And you know, it's like, you know, a lot of chords will move parallel in gospel, and it has a little bit more of that flavor. That's just kind of what I call it for myself. To differentiate it from that one. So here's the gospel one with the triads. Here we go. Okay, so there's that. And here's the next one, sus 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a D sus 4 here, like that, and just move these all in parallel. Now, you're going to get one dissonance here. Alright, that one, that's not really a sus chord, but don't do this. That doesn't work. Even though that makes that a true F sus chord, we're going to just keep in with the Dorian, and, you know, it might sound a little scratchy, you know, but you'll get used to it. Here we go. Ready, and... Okay, now the next one is what I call a D minor add 9, okay, and it's this, and if you've ever heard the theme from The Young and Restless, I think it's one of the last soap operas that is probably still on television, but it's this. Something like that. It uses all of those add 9 chords. And you know, that makes a nice little tension here, so let's just do it and listen to it this way. Okay, so there's that. All right, now the next one I call a sus2. Now, I've seen this more, maybe in more contemporary church music, okay? I remember the first time somebody brought me a sheet of something she wanted to learn. It said sus2, and I was looking at it. I was like, oh, what is that? Because I'd never heard that. But it's basically, there is no third in it. You play like this. Okay, so it would be D, and E, and an A. And it sounds like this. Okay, now you can also double that at the octave. So you get like this almost full sus chord, which is very cool, okay? There's some things I'll show you about that in the improv, but you're going to get this little scratch here, but just play it like that. Don't play, because that won't be right. All white notes, here we go. I just varied the fill there on that. And then the last one I want to talk about in like how to treat the melody is in quartals. Okay, quartal, you know, quarter means 4, you know, that root word. And this is getting over more into like maybe a McCoy Tyner or Bill Evans kind of style with that. And it's quite dissonant, but it's very cool. So let's just take a listen to that, and it'll be fourths built down. Okay, and there's going to be a dissonance in here because they're not all going to be perfect fourths. Okay, this one is not. You got like a perfect fourth and a tritone. And basically what it comes from is this you know, D Dorian scale played in fourths. I'll go ahead and play that here. Alright, so it's like, you know, your thumb is your note here. You focus on that, and you're locked in fourths. That doesn't sound like much in that context, but in the context of music, it sounds very, very good. And, you know, another person that used this an awful lot was Keith Emerson. And Keith Emerson, you know, is quite an influence on my playing. I mean, Tarkus especially, the beginning of it. And so on. It's all built off that quartal type of thing. So anyway, back to Sunflower. Okay, fourths. Here we go. Okay, so there's that. Now, as far as that's treatment of the melody in the A section. Okay, the B section, the melody won't be treated that way. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay, and that. But as far as how do you improvise over this, okay, D Dorian, it's you just play all the white notes. I mean, that's basically it. I mean, you could just get used to it by playing little scalar things and, trying to come up with a nice rhythm for it and that kind of thing. You can play it in thirds, just your single notes. Whatever, come up with stuff like that in thirds. And there's something right there, okay? It's like one of the things that I'll quote over this tune when I feel like it sometimes is Riders on the Storm by the Doors, okay, which is basically a Dorian tune. Happens to be an E Dorian, but, I will quote Riders on the Storm on this tune sometimes, and that, a couple of passages from Ray Manzarek's solo on that. Another thing that I'll quote sometimes is the Bach Toccata in Fugue in D minor, that kind of a thing. So I mean that's the fun of it. You can find these little practical jokes, so to speak. I mean, we all do it. Hank Marr was a master of that. He would just sit there with a straight face and play Carmen over something and, just, look out and see, who got it, and give a little nod like that, and, he'd wink and whatever. He was just very subtle about that, but it was, it was very funny. So anyway, as far as improv, you've got your Dorian. I mean, you can play it in thirds, however you want to do it. Oh, I guess I did show you that. Do it in fourths, whatever, that kind of a thing. That's where, you have so much freedom because you're not, you have this pendulum going back and forth, and you can just noodle around until you come up with something that you like. Now, one of the other things that you can do too is you can play, the blues scale on, or as I would, maybe want to call it in this context, the minor pentatonic scale on D minor. Okay, and that's 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1. Okay, and if you put the A flat in there, you're playing D blues. That, if you're tired of the way the Dorian thing sounds, switch to that. Now, the mate to that is the F major pentatonic. I mean, it's the exact same notes. Depends how you want to think about it, okay? Some people feel more comfortable thinking of, as it being a minor pentatonic, and some people feel more comfortable thinking of it as the major pentatonic. It really doesn't matter. It might change, your tonal center in your head, but other than that, it's the same notes, F major pentatonic. Okay, so there's that. So that takes care of 2 pentatonics. Now, if you want to get a little bit more bite into it, you can, deal with some other pentatonics over top. Say the pentatonic based on the 2 here. So you can play E minor pentatonic. Now in context it'll sound better because I actually, when I play it all the way through at the conclusion of tomorrow's session, you'll hear some of those. And then, the E minor pentatonic is related to the G major pentatonic, so you've got that too. A little more of an 11th sound on that. And then the other one is the A minor pentatonic, which is nice, okay? And that would sound like this. that's related to the A minor pentatonic is a C major pentatonic, all the same notes. Okay, so just bare like that, it might not make a lot of sense. But in the context of the tune, it can be very cool. It can change the tonality, just by making those little shifts. So just to review those pentatonics, it's like you have D minor pentatonic, which is the same as F major pentatonic. You have E minor pentatonic, which is the same as G major pentatonic. You have A minor pentatonic, which is the same as C major pentatonic. So the only note that's left out is this B. That's it. And you'll catch the B melodically, within the E minor pentatonic and the G major pentatonic. So that's just some background there. Now, with the pentatonics, what I'll do sometimes too, to kind of hide them, all right? So, you can play the blues scale, you add the chromatics, but you can add extra chromatics in there, and I don't have a system for that. Basically what I visualize and hear at the same time. But I do, when I started with this, I did more of a visualization of it. So it's like, let's say I'm going to play, I'll play something here in time and just improvise over like D minor pentatonic, okay, and I may throw in the D blues scale, and then I'll just start throwing chromatics in there. Okay, it's still going to be pentatonic. My focus is going to be on these notes here. Okay, but I'm going to throw some chromatics in there that kind of bust that up. Okay, and pentatonic's always safe. There's really no clams in that, so that's always a good place to go. When you start your solos and developing those, and I still use them all the time. I love it. It's part of my. Probably part of my sound. I play a lot of pentatonics, superimposing them over different chord roots and that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'll just kind of noodle a little bit here in D, and we'll just see what happens here. Okay, so, I just kind of, noodled with that. But, I spent a lot of time sitting around playing pentatonic scales, all kinds of patterns, coming in with the chromatics and all that kind of thing. So, I think that for today, I think that's enough. So, tomorrow I'll talk about how to deal with the bridge of Little Sunflower, okay, and using a pentatonic concept. So, thanks a lot. See you tomorrow.